holidays, I wanted to go ahead and do something that I feel like I woke up this morning, had a lot of requests for, so I figured we would turn it into a little bit of a holiday gift, if you will, as a little bit of a end of Scorpio season send-off, hopping into sad season. Many of us at this time are aware, obviously, that a new earth structure has been constructed, so regardless of your participation in that architecture or not, it's visible third dimensionally. And for many of you who have requested like this portion of the programming, I think the perspective you hold is, probably what maybe appeared as a tower moment, right? Because, for many of you, the reason you didn't participate in the divine intuitive guidance had to do with the fact that there was like a limitation on the belief that this new earth structure was ours for the building, ours for the making. So take a sip on that. So I think it can kind of be just like news to you, news to someone to like be like, oh, that's awkward. Maybe I should have participated in that. So nonetheless, you're seeing the certain future, which is that there's only one way out of this experience, and that is to ascend your consciousness. Literally, it's just funny. It's like the only way out is like through a certain action. So, it was to be expected. I budgeted a little extra time for the amount of, these are just my pre-shuffle messages, the amount of, oh, sorry, Lexus, I kind of really need your help, because I kind of told you guys about how in the end, which is now, end times, in astrology, you're going to really need like prophetic individuals, because the vision won't be there for the masses. So I expected that. Like I said, I totally got the etheric request and the amount of urgency that many of you feel, but I had to think about like my boundaries, where I'm still at my own evolution and journey, but also I always like to think about like, let's do the Aquarian thing, and like the reason I do the public archive is because it's like I don't want to repeat myself, and I also feel like any personal clientele like situations that I could do should just be recorded in general. So then rather than giving like very specific, like doing energetic services like to very specific individuals, it's just kind of like, this is obviously like something that could be beneficial to somebody sometime down the way. So I've expanded this messaging out. It's kind of going to be a really inclusive experience. It's going to be kind of new. I'm just testing out, seeing how and what comes out in sort of this like decree style. But I figured I'd do this level of maintenance for all of you as a gift from the Holy Yao for your holiday season. The timeliness of it coming in now is because I really think that many of you want to be in a disposition where you can just like newly and freely be with loved ones, like be, whatever. So I think it's more about being able to sort of gift people in advance the ability to be present, through this sort of winter's yin cycle. Because I think many of us realize or are realizing that like we haven't been engaging with presence, obviously because of the old, code and system that we were all, illusionarily participating in. And so, time, right? Life, movement, we all really want to make, trust me, you want to make this holiday season, this winter of celebration and harvest, one that you really remember. Just because, like I said, a lot of things are shifting at this time. Some people, like, it's like the cycle is turning over. You really have to have the fortitude and the energy to, like, embark on a new chapter in the new world in order to be there. So we just want to connect with as many souls, past and present, as possible at this time. And we don't want to be caught up in our own zhuzh and miss out on what's really needed. So this is a really educational sort of how-to collective workshop where you literally don't need to do anything but press play. So you're welcome, because so many of you woke me up this morning like, I will pay you whatever dollar amount you list if you could really help me out with the situation. And since money means nothing to me, I am going to do the thing that I do, and in the end your reparations will come as your presence in my future, because you will be ascending after this message. So I just want to prepare you, fair warning, and we don't do disclaimers on this end, but I just want to warn you that like after this it's a rapid ascent straight up for you. So you're welcome for helping sort of move this boulder for you. Just remember our motto here at the studio, which is like, things more conscious than I, right? Like, my hands aren't for sale. There'll never really be a price. I'm always willing to teach whomever is seeking. It's just important that you know that, like, you know, when you become more conscious, just make sure that you're prepared for what comes on your path and requires of you to be administering, maybe when it's difficult, maybe when it's not easy, or maybe when there's no real incentive for you other than just knowing, like, this system of word of mouth transmission of like healing abilities requires people. One of the things that you know is like, I am in the business of people. Like, that's what I do. That's where I am. So, you know, just doing my part this holiday season. I really want to wish all of you the best, just winter possible. I think this has the potential to really, if, like I said, there's just so much awareness you're gathering, so much rising to the surface. So I think it's the first time people can actually like make a decision about what they're going to be doing with their life, because most of the time people aren't even choosing. Like, even the things we choose to do, we're not really choosing, because we have so much veiled interdimensional information that we're always missing out on when we're sleeping. So it's time to wake it up. But anyways, so per the name of this title, that's 6 minutes in. Thank you for letting me just do that again. I go by the Holy Cow. This is a how to remove a demon, succubus, possession before the holidays. I know you girls are urgently sweating to make this happen. It's funny, like I said, it was really like one request that was really like pushing, but then I thought to myself, I was like, there's probably like, I would say 8+ individuals right now that are extremely close to me, like in terms of like immediate, like the closest people in my life. And I know that they're all navigating the same situation, which is like many of them have fallen to ye old tricks and have been caught up in like a experience where they have like a very long-term, very difficult demonic possession, of which is their own fault because of said lack of discernment. So we have a bigger, rounder conversation here going on. But essentially, people really close to me not really having spiritual discernment, or some sort of like affects of spiritual blindness that affected their judgment and had them like walk up to something that would be waiting for them, right? Like, it's like the hardest part right now. The reason this is a gift is because it's like many of you realize, like, I don't even have the ground. This isn't Alexis's problem. Like, I can't just be like pimping out the divine, like, oops, because like I said, it's like real pickles that like the people that I know in my personal life that are like really dealing with this, they've really deeply enmeshed with the frequency. And, you know, remember 7 months ago when I was like, do not do the demonic, like, I was trying to just, because it's always going to be a matter of your consciousness, but so sometimes when it comes to like people who don't realize that like certain things are just like demonic frequencies that are just like walking around, and they don't have the same thing on the inside that you think you have on the inside of you, it's just really important for someone to like, if you're unaware, I would hope that someone just protects you and just like, wait, don't engage with that person, because you think it's this, and they're much more conscious than you are and are manipulating something that obviously like you don't understand is even going on. So we have to have a wider conversation about a bigger theme that's happening, which is like the blasting out of like prejudice and racism and other like bigoted separation mentalities. Those are all being purged at this time, which is finally why you're all ready at the same time to like initiate the same type of thing, because essentially the blinders in your separate consciousness are exactly why you like would be blind to like these negative energies, because essentially in the metaphysical realms, in the realms in general, in the spiritual realms, it's an equal and opposite force. Like, basically all of the simple magic that exists is really practical. If you understand in and out, then you're good. Okay, it's the exact same thing, it's the exact same value, no matter what it appears to be on both sides of the veil. If there's a line in between this and this, if the two scales, they always have the same proportion, right? A great programming from the old world that is just phenomenal would be like Avatar, right? Like, just really understanding that, like, you know, with core, like, it can't actually be that like things get out of balance in a certain way. Like, it can't actually be that like one force is more whatever than another. So when it was like Rava and Vatu, like definitely like battling, like definitely like going tit for tat, and it was like, is it darkness or light? Who's gonna like rule the realms? And it's like neither can do it's about both understanding that they have the same mirrored potential. So that's kind of the framework and the premise that is going to help with this experience, but it's also just more like an educational space for all of you, because it's going to be for you for the succubus and for just like people who like participate with that, because there's just like I feel like a lot of fallout from all of the above. Like I feel like there's always energies affected when this kind of dynamic is happening, i.e. host and succubus. So many of you, like I said, were reaching out to me because you feel like you are hosting said like succubus energy, and you've known for some time, but it's just like dealing with where your position is consciously. Like I mean, it would require many of you to start engaging in certain levels of like shadow work, which is just like dealing with the darker aspects of your soul and ascending those as well. And so this is really just like I said, I'm doing a lot for the girls. But essentially, I just wanted to tell you the framework for why this will be effective for you, because it is collective, it is general, and it does, like, I just don't want you to think I'm just, like, doing the judge. Like, I'm really trying to give you exactly what it is you need. But you have to understand these principles, which is, like, why you've been put in this position. Okay, so we talk about this blind spot of, like, prejudice, separate consciousness. So anything, any of the isms, fascism, racism, sexism, whatever it is, are all under this bigger umbrella of separation, which is the ideologies we can populate with our mind, our infinite mind, that are surrounding themes of us being separate from source, right? So when you look at another person and you see a difference, like you don't actually realize, like, right? Because just getting stronger in the metaphysical world has to do with your connection to source, has to do with your ability to understand there's things are illusionary. Like when you really spend enough time meditating that like me and mirror, mirror and me and mirror and everything you see, the more you'll understand and be able to have power in these other realms again. So it's open access. You're all meant to get there. Again, we are coming from a much sicker, far more limited illusionary paradigm than anything. We're really more so just breaking out of our own self-imposed prison. So it's just really important to understand that that's like where you're coming from. So likely many of you, the succubus that I have some news we have to get through. That's a little like, we're going to start with the bad news. So the bad news is the succubus is actually karmically just. The succubus is actually a representation of an extreme polar in your soul. Like there's an aspect of your soul that is actually in the image of the external person. Like say, let's say, because for many of you, it's actually just like an actual human being that has this frequency and you didn't know, and now they're like siphoning your energy like completely. Like you know that now. What I tried to warn you is like some of these succubuses, their goal is to basically take 100% of the life force energy from the source. So if you're hosting them, you are now their source. They're completely siphoning all of your frequency. And so many of you are realizing like these people are trying to, basically it would be like a destiny swap, or some of them is going as far as like even just like becoming you. You're probably seeing a lot of them like take over things that you have. Like it's this deep sense of like merging, but it also at the same time completely diminishes you. So many of you were reaching out to me, freaking out this morning, because it's like you're also seeing yourself. Like I don't know how to explain like being in a room full of like maybe your loved ones, your family, your friends, but it's like you, the real source of you, like the real thing, the you behind the eyes is like not being fed by the environment, and you didn't realize now because like I said, your succubus can be like, I see you once a week, or I just we only, well, however their connection is, they don't even have to be physically in your life, but once they've consummated. And for many of you, I also wanted to bring this back into the Tethered Studios sexual education, because also for many of you, the reason the succubus is the only way that they can actually take full possession is if you guys have fully come into union. So for many of you, sexual intercourse, sexual relations with the succubus energy is like why you've gotten yourself in this position. So we're going to get through the bad news, because again, now this, what appears maybe for many of you like some sort of sex demon that has been following you or has been like stealing, and like again, they basically eventually over time will like offload everything that's yours. And so many of you find yourself feeling like what's theirs is mine, but they have like somehow there's this energetic exchange where it's like they almost like have possession of everything you have. So many of you feel like I really have nothing, I'm like powerless, and like there's also no soul force again. So there's like a very deep siphoning, like very deep siphoning that has been happening. And again, like veil, delusions, again, probably also your lack of energetic maintenance is the reason like this has been so extreme and so severe. And again, it kind of woke you up, because it's like whatever the severity is that like, again, the Scorpio new moon is gonna like let you know. You definitely like Scorpio new moon is definitely like when you know, like you probably looked in the mirror and you're like, holy shit, like when you see this person, it like scares you, because I don't think anyone in your external world, because most of us like aren't dealing with people who have like a metaphysical lens on life. So most people in your regular world, again, like I said, many of you, this is hard because these succubus are like your partners, like people you chose to like, you were going up to people like when you were just saying like, this is my partner in some way, or like, this is like someone I with, you claim them in some way. You came into the most powerful alchemical force, which is again why I tell you girls to be careful with who you have sex with, because you do not understand what that even is. Sex is not what you girls, it's not even about hetero anything. It's like the most powerful energetic exchange that two metaphysical energies can do. When you use your tethered vehicle to like lock in, you are exchanging like all of, it's basically like the USB upload. So many of you are, again, I had to start with the bad news, because you basically gave this demon your USB and said like, take all of my life force energy. It's like a flash drive that like had all your life force. You like plug it into you and you can take it, because again, these demonic freaks, they don't have the genetic coding, the DNA, the cosmic coding that makes soul energy. So it's not like a soul force that's driving this. So they're always on, they're hungry for a full spectrum like soul, like battery essentially, which would come from someone who does have soul force energy. So many of you, the good news to the bad news is that like you do this because it's a root, it stems from a wounding that you had in childhood, hence why I said the Children of America tour. But essentially, you were an ascended soul that likely went through the veil of unconsciousness, and because of like your family environment being so limiting to what your potential really was, like what you were really going to go on to do, like you're meant to be a big deal, right? So the people around you, for whatever number of reasons, just like could not conceptualize that. So in your raising, you were really affected, because you wouldn't, maybe it isn't even that you're like the worst parents in the world, but it's like they were not prepared for the caliber of like your spiritual like aptitude at all. So that did not get nourished. So like most of your life, you probably grew up feeling like you probably didn't even understand it, because no one gave you the code. Like for a lot of kids, like I said, I'm very privileged because I come from the lineage, but I also come from the lineage that like told me about magic. So it's like, I'm not like you girls in certain ways, because it's like I didn't grow up with the wound of like not accepting myself, which is why you see me as proficient as I am. So God really used me as an example to show like what life could have been like if you had a supportive childhood for kids with gifts of this nature. But you probably had gifts that weren't even nurtured or even acknowledged, so you have that invisibility wound, right? But it also, at a certain level, you're not just the physical genetic code, like you're not just like what you are physically, you're also your spiritual aptitude. So that this doesn't matter if you're 6 months old, like the consciousness that you possess is what it is. And that thing is like, let's just say like the mass magician, it's like the evil scientist, and it was rebelling when it was that we were here and you were ascending. It was rebelling over the fact that it's like way too advanced for what's going on. So there is, the good news is there's, your spirit always knew exactly what you were doing, but sometimes your spirit man will literally use demonic frequencies to activate a code. So like for me, there was a lot of life and death situations I had to go through, because that's the only way to activate some of the dormant powers that I had, like some of the abilities I had, right? You know, I was called to heal when my dad was like dying of a stroke. I was called to heal when at the South by Southwest scratches. I was called to heal when my best friend Mercy passed. Like I was called to do like, there's a lot of these moments that are just like high intensity dangers on the route, you know, when I'm being like raped, things like that, like where it's like it activates these codes. And so to a certain extent, at a higher level, like the universe is not worried about you, because like you're good, you got all the time in the world, you're all capable, all powerful, you'll just, but I know right now you're dealing with like the third dimensional repercussions of like the participation of such things. So anyways, so that, all of that being said, I don't do or perform spells. I don't do any one-off anything, because it's nothing to do. You need more literacy, and then you don't even need me to protect you. You can literally just be more literate at a consciousness level. So all I'm responsible for doing for you is just waking you up, bringing you the reason for what's happening, because it's already solved. Anything that is untrue, that is really not destiny coded, that is not already written for you, cannot. So in this moment, I've already removed them for you, because I see from that lens, which is like, nothing, there is no interference that actually can stick. So the real problem now is asking of you, as the host of Succubus, to be ready to release. So that's the part of this message that you were thinking you had to pay top dollar. You were freaking out. You were like, how am I going to get rid of this? Oh my God, I'm being victimized. You're not. You're not. The only thing I have to ask you is, are you ready to let go of having the possession? Because at a deeper level, anytime we hold on to discomfort or hold on to something that takes, it is because to some degree, at a shadow integrated level, we know we have in fact done this to others. And so for many of you, for all of you, the possession is a karmic debt. It is and was exactly what you needed to clear because of ways that you have shown up as like siphoning. So for many of you too, I want you to look around, because it's also like a lot of people who like don't realize this because we're like super busy doing the like first person perspective thing. But yeah, it's like you probably didn't realize this, but like many of you who have the succubus now, especially if they were coming through like sex portals, you were in proximity to likely an energy at some point that was very, very, very spiritually aware, very, very spiritual, had a certain ranking. And I just say this because of the cycle that we're on collectively and like what's coming forward and like the themes and the types of connections that we're learning from and partnerships that we're learning, consenting, you know, contracts, all of these things, these binding spiritual agreements. Like, you know, when, because of the theme of what's being reviewed right now, many of you also do not realize, it's channel message, but it's like you didn't realize at some point in your life that you were also the witness to a greatness unfolding. And a lot of times it's not, again, it may not even be like a super conscious thing. Like you may not have known like what it was, like what the phenomena was, but let's just say you were in proximity to the phenomena, and because whether you knew it or not that it was a phenomena, so say it was more conscious, like that's a phenomena, I'm gonna gaslight it, or say it was unconscious, like I just didn't even know that thing, that person around me, that light around me was what it was. Well, if that ignorance or that not activation, that non-reflected light, like if somebody's really like powerful and you don't reflect that, again, also the reasons why we have to like keep up our self-accountability journey is if that light doesn't get a proper mirror from you, you create a karmic debt. So for many of you also, this is just like, even though it doesn't feel that way right now, it's like the easiest way that your soul could like pay the debt of like witnessing a phenomena and not being enough to mirror the truth to it, because it probably stalled that energy out. And so it created a dynamic where it's like you're actually siphoning from them now, because it's like if you don't give back the feedback of like, oh, this like I'm getting, if you're unaware to be like, I'm getting this much from this thing, and in the causal realm, I have to be able to mirror that if I'm going to be doing the interaction with the phenomena. Like these two different energies are going to be interacting, and every time that happens, there's some sort of third party energy that they create together. But if for the third party energy, you're like showing up as non-participation, it's like you're literally just making the other energy just take. And again, this could have been completely subconscious. It could have been something you didn't even know that you've been doing in dynamics, but that always happens with like anything you interact with, where it's like something, yeah, you're interacting with a phenomenon or frequency, some sort of energy, and it's like, again, the non-awareness that your participation is happening, whether you want to be conscious about it or not, like, right? That's kind of the Aquarian override thing. It's like some things are just really happening no matter what. And so at some point in your life, there was a big phenomenon that asked of you to stand in like your higher power, like in your highest timeline, you know, because it's kind of like jury duty. Like there are times where like the divine just like plants lights to like pass by you, or like, you know, and it's meant to remind you of your like bigness, your cosmic potential, your original DNA, but it is also meant to like test you to make sure you're still pouring into like the collective human experience and keeping like certain things like free services at a spiritual level going, right? Like there are certain things that like are non-profit, so they just have to keep going because we all agree like we can't not pour into this social good or this collective cause or this collective resource, whatever. So that's where this all kind of stems from, is like kind of basically not paying your own spiritual tithes and offering, which is not determined by like a religion of any sorts, but it's like whenever God comes and audits you to pay what you weigh, it's like to some degree there was an experience in your past, whether it's this lifetime, past lifetime, where like you did not pay what you weighed. So the contemplation of this type of like low vibrational problem that you have on your hands right now is like also kind of based in that, where it's like make sure you do the simple thing, which is like start first by participating in like doing all of your responsibilities before you start, because again, it's you get taxed in this new world based on the consciousness you've consumed. So again, these like high level like succubus frequencies are also because like you are someone who is way more capable than you let on, or than you, and again, it could be conscious where it's like I'm more capable than I let on, so I manipulate people, or you're not even aware, but even non-awareness is like a you problem, because the Scorpio new moon is going to wake you up. It's like you can't like pretend like you don't know, like you know what I mean? So it's like that kind of frequency. It's like you can't, there's not really like there's just not really like anything to say. So there's no hiding, there's no whatever. So I think all of the fire that really gets lit under, you know, the Phoenix rising really like rises, because it's like, right, like it's an illusion to go down, or like to like I'm losing power. It's like an illusion, because the only time that any sort of magician, magic person, practitioner can like revoke like a succubus from like like this is how I'm doing it. It's like the verbalization. It's like anytime, you know, someone thinks they have like Superman's kryptonite and they're gonna use it on them, so like Superman like powers get sucked away. The only way that that arc really ever turns around is like the person realizing like an equal and opposite force. So yes, they are like ripping and taking all of my energy, but in that same way, that's the. It's almost just like the slingshot effect, where it's like if they can pull back on my energy, it shows how much more powerful. So sometimes in your like tightest like pickles and binds like that, not just restriction, but the motion, like the force, like it's like literally using the force, like it literally like sometimes when it's getting so siphoned from you, the force that you can actually come with. It's like how I alchemized like last month, like it was like October was the type of thing for me where it was like me and Dennis were like, what in the world? Like we were definitely like at that place where it's like very tennis was, and again, we don't even really have time because we're always big brain thinking about like whatever, but we don't really always have time to like think about how many people send stuff out at us. Like we don't even give them the time of day because it's like if we could really write down how many people have sent like low level whatever, like road blockers, many spells, opportunities, closed doors, whatever they send, it's like, you know, we don't even really, it's like millions, it's too many girls to count that have been trying to block the destiny. It's like, so when we're in the situations, we just always really just go right into the alchemical side of it. It's like, okay, right now we can tell something was really like, when I was swelling last month and it was like so many things were like pulling on me at the same time to like really stop me. And then I just used the force to like bust through. And it's like, so that's exactly what you're going to be doing at this time anyways. But for 26 minutes, that's kind of just what I want you to understand. It's like, that's the premise of like why, even at a conscious level, because it's like you would walk yourself up to something like that, contrary to like intuition, you know, synchronicity, things like that like show you like this is not your path, this is not the route you want to take or whatever, right? Because all I'm going to show you how to do is how to take action to releasing it. The only guidance that you have from your higher power is like, are you ready to release it? And so as I'm telling you, they don't actually have power. And I know that's scary because it's like when you get in these dynamics, it seems like they control everything because because basically what you're doing is like, it's like giving your debit card to somebody, like yours, and they've just been like, it's like all of your money every time it's like gone, and, you know, whatever. Because whatever contractual third dimensional like contract that you guys have like bound yourself into in a literary sense, it allows them to basically like take everything you have. So essentially, like you created such a debt with them by going so far out of alignment to consummate whatever it is that y'all were doing out of alignment, which meant that likely too there's trauma that I'm holding space for because some of you it could be like situations of like sexual harassment, sexual assault. Many of you are going to be like waking up at this time realizing like I've been allowing this person essentially like rape me because they don't actually align with you for whatever reason. So like misalignment could look like a lot of things. It could be like, oh, I'm not honoring my sexuality, or I'm not honoring like this person for whatever reason, something about them, something is like actually like really like violent. Like this is it's not even just like, oh, I didn't know, like it would be an act of self-harm to go after frequency like this. So there's that aspect of it as well, where you're like really dealing with like the skulls, you know. Like I understand what you guys are saying is like, because to the outside world, the bind that they have is like they've bound your ability, like it kind of binds the people's perception of you, so it's like affecting opportunities for you, because basically being represented by as someone who's now in union with a succubus like this is like confusing what is for you. It's not even confusing what's for you, it turns it off. It's not even like a subjective like thought. It's like if I'm committed to this and it displays like that we have now come into union, meaning like even if it was one time of like sexual intercourse, this is basically like what the Nixon propaganda was, which is like trying to make people think it's all about substances, like where humans were making substances that were in the image of like these demons, like certain, you know, lab cut drugs are like actually like metaphysically like trying to emulate what some of these, you understand what I'm saying? So it's like some of you don't realize that like it's like a hard drug that's like it takes one time for you to participate in that, and it's like the withdrawal from it alone, though, like it's just like it would be too difficult for some people. So it's like really important to understand, to be discerning that like that was what happened, where it's like it could have been one time. I mean, any type of, especially like I said, physical intimacy, any sort of sexual intercourse, it's like, but likely many of you it's like dealing with the boundary being pushed. Like it's like you yourself, your mind, body, and spirit know that also with this succubus it's like very particular, because it's unfortunate that like maybe especially the people who are connected to you unconditionally, like they know that this thing is like, it's actually exactly the opposite of everything you want. So like people who really know you whether you're in contact with them or not, they would have the lens at this like type of frequency. It's like that's not even what you want at all. It's like not the truth of what you want at all. You know what I mean, type of thing. So they really see the Punisher vibes, but the other issue is like if someone is able to be in the unconditional love phase, they have to stay away from you. So this is why I have to do the virtual thing. This is why I can't really do the like deal with people, because like there's certain things that I can't do again when you put yourself on certain paths with certain things, because they are a danger. Like I could get infected spiritually with the same whatever. So for me, I dealt with this a lot this year. Is like I would just say like all three of my own like family members like were dealing with that, where it was just like I couldn't participate any longer with what they were hosting. And because I was like watching the host, I was watching the Succubus like completely like siphon all their frequency. I was trying to be there as long as I could, and then it was like there are certain days where it's like, okay, I have to go because this thing is gonna infect me, my husband, like, and our spiritual well-being and hygiene. So it was like we had to go. But you know, I really want to make this because it's like a gift to my own family. You know, it's a gift to, you know, all my guys and my sons, so that they know like you're good because we're good, because I'm still here, because like again, this is also something that's like if someone didn't come and do the decree or have someone who's capable, like someone like myself, like you don't have someone who has the like specialization, like the credentials essentially to do this, then you're gonna be stuck. So again, it's kind of like why I told you, it's like you're gonna really want to make sure that you like, it's kind of like the natural idea that religion like bites off of, which like you want to take care of your practitioners, you want to like take care of like the people who like do this type of like not for sale type of work at an energetic level, because it keeps them going. It's like why we pay for like our priests and our rabbis and our preachers' homes and housing and stuff and food and water, because it's like they have to like just stay in the monastery and stay protected, because it's just like you're gonna really need them in situations like this where like the only road can be opened if someone like myself or who's qualified could like open it or would use and lend themselves in this way and give you this key, because you don't necessarily deserve the key given the journal. So anyway, so I'm going to give you 3 principles of meditation to help yourself too. It's already been done, so now you're going to just really deal with the fallout of like, okay, we've all committed to like, I released it, I'm going to release this connection, because I think for many of you that's the scariest thing, is like you will probably lose physical things by letting this go. Money, possessions, maybe even certain securities. But at this point, I just want to let you know it does get worse from here. Like it is better to lose whatever you lose temporarily right now, because if you do choose your higher power, a door opens. Again, it's not going to be something that you could see before. So a lot of you, this is also a test of faith. It's like you have to be able to know that it's like, I need to release this because this isn't like good for me. This isn't like healthy. This isn't like something I should participate in any further. So you like release it on that premise. And then your divine like reviews what you've submitted. Like, listen, I'm going to let this go now. And because of that, it is promised that a door will be open, but it's not going to be opened and incentivize you. Like God has no reason to incentivize you girls, right? When we talk about the prayers, because of how you did your journey, like God has no reason to like incentivize anyone when you owe God, right? So that's what I'm just saying. So it's like right now, the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to make sure that you say to yourself, like, I need to release this, because this is my video confirmation to let you know you have to. Like the thing that you've been circling on, because for many of you, like I know like people closest to me, it's been like a few years that you've let this happen. A few years too many, because really with this type of frequency, it's the type of frequency that is so bad for your specific energy. It's again, it's not even about anyone else. It's like for you though, this thing looks crazy off. Like it's off mind, body, and spirit. It's misaligned. It's how you know it's a demon frequency. Because people, like I said, and if you have anyone in your life who really knows the real you, this is like a thing that's like, brother, why would you do that? Because you are powerless to it now. Because what I was trying to warn you about certain things, like you need to make sure you're protecting yourself, and you need to like listen to people who like have vision that maybe you don't have, because if you walk up to one of these, the contract with them is that it's way heavier. Like intercourse with them, sexual relations with them one time gives them access to you forever. So it's not gonna be very easy to just like let it go. Like you're gonna have to ask somebody who has the qualifications to do it. It's like it's only gifts that could remove this type of possession. Again, so I do this for free. And it's my path to service, because I hear you girls' prayers in the ether. But I just want to warn you in the future, like life is a long journey. So like if you ever find yourself in this situation again, it's probably a good reason like why these types of services, these types of individuals that you trust, they're all over the place, are good to help, because it's just like there are certain things you get yourself into that you can't just get yourself out of. It depends on like what gifts you're endowed with. I don't know. So anyways, but yeah, so that's kind of the whole larger vision. of what we've gotten ourselves into. But again, it has been so many, for many of you, like I said, it's been a few years. It likely also started probably post 2020, like for a lot of you, like around 2020, around this like sort of turn. I would say it's less than 10 years that many of you have been dealing with this, but it's like definitely to the turn of like the collapse paradigm. You likely picked up a succubus who, like I tried to tell you guys, like 2020 we had a great collapse, which means like there was all this stuff hidden in the shadows. So when all the buildings fell down and everything was in the conscious light in terms of an energetic, there's all these succubus that like were looking for hosts, looking for hosts, looking for hosts. And so some of you were just victims of that, where it was like, well, how did I even get this though, Alexis? It's like, well, there are times when things are happening at an energetic level, like weathering level, where it's like you might want to be vigilant. That's why I say, like, times when the veil is thin, especially during divine feminine season, there's a lot of vulnerability. So it's like important to make sure that like there are times where like these frequencies are also vulnerable. So they're like looking quickly, and if they find a person like yourself who has like extreme spiritual aptitude but is like extremely asleep or like is not aware in some way, like yeah, it's like very easy to like do the thing and get you quick. So no judgment. It happens to everyone. It's happening to more people than you believe. That's why it's like I woke up and I was like, oh, it's not even really like a one person thing. I just kind of felt like so many people were like, oh my god, I want to be able to like, because I think many of you could do the work that's between you and your highest timeline between now and like the harvesting holiday season, like before these really great like December, January, before like Cap and Aquarius season come in. Like you guys could really be in alignment to like really high timelines. You see that a lot of things have already cleared out, but this is gotta go. You know what I mean? And so I feel like it's like, I got that through the ether. It's like, please help us, like, please help us purify, please. But I'm like, absolutely. I want a Christmas bonus from the divine. So I'll give you girls some help. I'll help you transform the situation and break out of the mold for sure. Anyways, so I have 3 more. But yeah, so it's kind of like what the frequency is. Okay. So, again, so the first thing that we want to make sure we understand, so that you are more accountable and you don't ever have to enter like a spiritual space or ask a practitioner like myself, like you're some sort of victim, because you're not. So I'm going to empower you, okay? This whole situation at the bottom of the deck is like I'm letting you know, it's about how you were nurtured. Many of you, like I said, you just have a lot of like non-physical, like not hyper local, not hyper real energetics that like you were not acknowledged. So it's like, again, that's where I tell you have to take a metaphysical lens at a child's childhood, because many people only parent children from the place of like the physical realms. Like it's like, is my kid good at football? Are they gonna be a politician? Are they gonna be a doctor? And that's like part of it. But then there's also just like the aspects and abilities that a child could have, the potential of a child that like parents have to be way more like vigilant of. It's like they could have like latent invisible abilities that like you can't squander. You also have to know how to nurture. So many of you, maybe you think you had a really awesome parent who you really thought nurtured you really well, and you might be surprised at this time that it's like, oh damn, they didn't actually give me anything I really actually needed though. And that's kind of like my situation, because my situation was very nuanced like that. Like it's like my mom on the surface was like did everything third dimensionally, but like I still like hold her really accountable because she did not nurture me at all to like be functional. So that's why it was like wanted to put Alexis in everything, but it was like all the like third dimensional stuff, which had its value. But then it was like my vessel was like so butchered like as a child, because I was like doing all this stuff that I was like not spiritually maintaining myself at all. So that's why for me I really needed my dad, because he's the person who was like teaching me, my brother and I, about our invisible abilities and like growing and parenting those things. And so it was like one of those things where it's like, it just depends. So it looks like, again, for a lot of you, this also stems from like a mother wound, which means like to some degree, unfortunately, this is like about recovering. This person is actually like passed on through a maternal lineage, and it also has to do with like at an energetic level, they are really showing you a vision of your maternal energy in a way that you didn't see it, because I don't think a lot of you realize that like maybe there was toxic femininity in your mother because you could only see them from a physical lens. But I'm trying to tell you that like many of you also like come from women who were silenced, were scorned, are carrying just like extreme trauma, extreme like experiences that needed to be like really transmuted and things like that. And it's like it doesn't like really add up in a lot of ways, because it's just like, oh shit, like what? Like I didn't know my mom was like because I think a lot of you don't realize like your mothers were dark workers. Like they had gifts and abilities that like turned them dark, like bearing children under the climate and the environment and the time that they did, being left alone by your fathers, being raising single, like there's this darkness, right? And so many of you need to now go back and re-understand like your mother in a new way, because now you have to look at her spiritually, and then you're gonna understand. Because many of you don't understand what I mean when I'm like, okay, my mom's low-key kind of off the like, there's a lot, at a spiritual level, it's like it's a lot more menacing, let's just say, than maybe you would see from her third dimensional self, because she has a lot of darkness that she's like holding and transmuting from her lineage. So for many of you, again, the reason you have this succubus is actually like they're meant to show you what your mother actually looks like in the spiritual realm, your own mother. And so it's gonna kind of be like, it's gonna be one of those moments where it's like Spider-Man meme where it's like, or like Scooby-Doo, like, oh man, Jenkins, like you're about to like really rip the mask off your mother, sorry. Because I think a lot of you too, it's like, you really like, I think the issue is that you actually still have this illusion of your mother. It's not even that God wants you to like think your mother's like a bad person. This isn't a dualistic thing. This is a clarity thing. Like you need to understand what people really are, because again, the reason you're falling into prejudice is because you don't believe in the power of the feminine. This is someone that had power that you didn't see because you minimized it. Because the feminine is all things invisible, all the things that aren't present, like all the things that like all the abilities and power that this person could have had over you, that just off of physical, you underestimated them. So again, you have to take accountability, because this has a lot to do with like the way that you size up things and you over rely on the physical realm, which is why you got played in the metaphysical realm. So for a lot of these mothers that had to raise you as a child, the men that took advantage of them didn't realize how their wrath was going to come back, because they were like, oh, you're just a stupid woman, and we're in the middle of patriarchy. I'm going to put a baby in you at all costs just because I can and make you just carry all that weight. And they didn't know that you can do that in the third dimension and think someone's dumb and then like put it in practice. But then these women, they did the crazy thing. You know what I mean? So that's the first thing that's going to heal this. So I'm here to show you that the image of the partner right now that has been siphoning from you is a reflection of your maternal energy taking back what was siphoned from her. So it is, in the end, the reason you had to go through it, the reason why nothing stopped it from happening to you, even though it seems unfair, was because it had to take place. Now, it didn't have to be that you had to get a succubus to do it. You could have done the volunteer thing and like just alchemized your own energy instead of like projecting it onto something outside of you and then going into this dark ass covenant with this energy. But to each its own. Since we're here, we're just gonna work on like what we need to do to like not be here. Goodness. The other major thing that Spirit wants you to walk away understanding about this is that they were siphoning your life force. Wow. Okay, so your life force energy is the most valuable thing to you. All your prosperity comes from you. This is why my mantra here is like no hands for sale. You really don't ever want to get yourself in a position where this is something you're selling. Let's not do that. So whatever industries, if you trick and you pimp it, like don't ever get into any industry, even where you exploit other people for this. Don't ever buy and sell life force energy. Don't sign to these major labels. Don't do none of that, because that's your prosperity. It's not anything physical. Your prosperity is like your ability to stay alive, like your breath. So this is like people who've like sold out their prana. And that's how, because you're like, I didn't even start off giving this bitch none of my possessions. Like many of you probably like started off with really strong boundaries. You thought you were really doing good because you were like, that's yours, this is mine. Like you thought you could live amongst this demon for a long period of time by just like separation. But separation is why you have it in your life. So we also have to talk about the ways that like spontaneity has affected your life force. So this is like a double message where, you know, you are also someone, let me just say this, who has this ability to like create. Like you are often someone who's like, who can be really like harvested from because of your creative potential. Like you can use your life force to spontaneously like generate abundance. So these types of frequencies and demons are always looking for someone like you. Always. They're always looking for someone like you. Just because you, like I said, they're very powerful feminine. So this is a void space. And this is you. You can create spontaneously. Ducats. These demons have incentive. They need to get a baby on you. They need to do these types of things to you. Why? They need to steal your identity. Because this is crazy. These demons don't want to impregnate you. That's not even what they want to do. They want to beat you. They're ready to. They are popping up spontaneously to siphon all of your energy. I think this is also about surprise attacks. You know, you guys need to really meditate on why it's important to have a connection to spirit, because there's certain times where things just come out of the blue. You're not prepared. 4. You weren't ready. Like, it's just like there would have been no way to avoid this, which is why spirit was also trying to show you, it's like, you can't play God. Many of you use God for like the things you want, but you don't actually commit to the relationship. Again, that's why this is all mirroring, right? Because it's like how you treated this individual, which is why they played you in the end, because they don't have soul energy like you have. So you got played by them because you went in trying to fucking play God, and then you got played because you attracted something that isn't even godly. So, sorry, you get what I'm saying? So again, you have the ability to spontaneously create life, use your life force energy to create things, and abundance, health, prosperity. Like, you can generate new things like that. And so that's another thing that spirit wants you to, that's the second thing that spirit wants you to like really pay attention to. And the last thing is that you need to understand is your soul purpose. You as the person who had to come to this video and had to take this free gift and redeem your coupon, you're here to manifest light. Nothing more, nothing less. That is your sole purpose. So every action you take at this time needs to be about you grounding down and manifesting light on this planet. Your energy is not meant to go towards illusionary third-dimensional bullshit. So a lot of the problems are about how your actions don't align with the manifestation of the light that you're here to do. So this is a lot of like words not matching your actions, okay? So you can only get caught up in like verbalized spells and like these types of tight bondages when you're not taking action towards being the light, towards grounding more light on this planet. Because if you're not doing that, the real reason, it's not a judgment, but like the real reason it's like not working out is just because of the fact that, like, again, if you're not an individual that realizes like we only can ascend to this point, we don't have the options that we used to have to pick like grounding down darkness, then you are actually for the wrong team. And so again, you have this because at the same time it's like let's not do this anymore, because you need to be doing what the planet is doing, which is ascending and grounding down these higher frequencies. So your actions speak louder than your words, but your actions need to be building this. Like, you are getting this warning shot from spirit because it's like you need to be making sure moving forward that you're a part of the collective cause and not a part of the collective destruction. Okay, let's do a quick see if there's anything else, because I gotta go get the peppermini. You're welcome, y'all. You're good after this. Oh my god. Okay, all spirit wanted to confirm is like, y'all beg for it and God will always teach. The last thing I'll say, the only thing that really need to understand is like, also through this journey, really utilize this archive, but also understand that like you are always welcome to be taught. I'm always happy to help you out with this type of guidance. Like I said, I think this is about making sure that you understand now that like you again, this is kind of like a redundant, it's like your actions, let what you manifest speak to your truth. The best way to get yourself out of the situation, because I did the work for you today, is to give you clarity on the situation so that it's done, it's dissolved. But now moving forward, the force of motion, you are more powerful than you think, so you need to be conscious. You need to make sure that when you enact, that when you take action moving forward, that you only tell the truth. So the only thing so this is like the catch-22. This work that I just did for you will work. The promise that I need from you though is that like, because things are going to come at you fast. So this is the moment where it's like, I told my husband yesterday, it's like, if you're still struggling, if you're still scared of telling the truth, if you still have a fear of the truth, then this won't work for you. This will be ineffective. But you won't be able to actually release this at this time. You have to understand that the reason this thing has been so bound to you is because you can never tell the truth about it. You can never like bring light to it. So you need to take actions at a spiritual level to make sure that you are actually being unafraid. Like, this person is like, I'm going to say this, I'm going to interject this, and I don't care if you get cut by this, you get cut by this. So you have to integrate your shadow. So this is a lot about the next step for you, is just like making sure you're integrating your shadow, and that you're someone who at the end of the day understands that you cannot be scared to tell the truth. Because for many of you, you just need to tell this energy the truth, that I'm more powerful than you think, and you have no power over me, and I can be done with this when I want to be done with this. Point blank, period. I don't even know how to say this. The Eight of Wands. This energy, I can't even explain to you. So I already did the Seven of Wands, which means I helped you overcome it. But now you're the force, the life force. We need you to spontaneously bring back your life force. Now, all of this initiation is going to be trying. So I just removed the entity for you, but now Spirit is going to, I'm just letting you know in advance, Spirit is going to be it's going to be moving fast. It's going to be a lot of forward movement, because this thing is the thing that was holding you back. So I just want to prepare you for how fast you're about to integrate into the new earth. King of Pentacles, you're about to be back in your royalty. So you really don't have a lot of time to be like crying and bitching and complaining about a succubus. Like, you really don't. So we move past it because you understand why you had it. You understand what it came from. Now you're ready for full steam ahead for the holidays, right? But it's just like, we need the version of you that is living in integrity and truth, because you have a throne that otherwise this thing was keeping you from. So all expect now that this has been cut, all of your energy to return. All of the things that were sucked from you are now energetically, they're coming back to you now. So your life force will be returning for you now that you have this decree. Thank you for sitting with me for 50 minutes to take care of your spiritual health. This is how I'm leaving you. You're welcome. Remember how we started, where you were like, please, I'm a victim, and now you're leaving empowered. That's what I do for you. I did it for free. There was no price. Just, talk sweet to me next time, so you don't have to freak out. But also, I'm holding space for you. Let's not put ourselves through this situation anymore, because listen, the girls who get it, we're sitting over here fine. You're the one who just went through like a demonic possession for real. So I'm sorry about the life that was like taken, but let it be something that you lament and that you treat as sacred, so that you move forward and expand into the new amount of life that you still have. Because I think you guys don't realize, like, now you're gonna start looking in the mirror, and it's like, once this is removed, because they're gonna get removed from your space. So just like, remember that Spirit's about to act on this. You asked for the decree, it came out of my mouth, it came down. This is the position I'm leaving you in. So now just prepare that it's getting removed. So there's gonna be structural changes starting now that like are happening, no question. So I love you guys so much. Reach out to me if you need me. But again, this archive is all yours. I'm gonna go make breakfast. Kisses.